Al, do you remember in high school when it was time to take a test?
Yeah.
Did you study?
No, never.
Well, welcome to the club. I never did either
Nice.
because general education is bad.
Yeah. I mean, I had over a 4.0 GPA
How do you
and
have
I never,
over a 4.0?
because I took AP courses. So it was out of a five and
That's
I had like,
cheating.
I almost had a 5.0. It was insane.
That's cheating. Anyways, that's not what we're going to completely talk about today, but kind of
I mean,
at the same
she
time.
didn't study either, but her results were not as good as our results.
No. Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Jared and Al Watch K-On! I'm Jared, that's Anladium,
Hi.
and we are here to talk to you about episode number 3, entitled Cram Session.
Time to study.
It is time to study. We had an interesting conversation while watching this episode. Well, not really a conversation, but like an anecdote
Hmm.
about how you asked if you thought, or if I thought that like Japanese schools were like much harder than American schools, because you always see a lot of like, oh God, we gotta cram, we gotta study, we gotta do all this, and you have like all these stories about high schools and like going to cram school and all that sort of stuff, and then you look at like our education system, and it's just like, I don't know, you're there for way too long, and then you just goof off for most of it.
And I wonder if some of it's just like drama for anime and stuff like that. But at the same time, like, I don't know, it has to be based on something, but I never studied it. I mean, I took almost exclusively AP courses my entire high school career. I went into college as a sophomore.
Well, I wonder as well that like to even get into high school, you have to take like entrance exams.
And I think that may be something is that like there's more of like an academic benchmark because
Mm-hmm.
you've already gotten to this point by taking an exam and that weeds out people. And so, like, once you're in high school, it's a little bit harder because all those people have been, like, driven out, I guess. But I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. And I think it's an interesting question because I legitimately never studied. And I actually don't know if I ever studied in college either. I mean, the only thing I really studied for was like my oral exams for my PhD, and like that wasn't really studying in the traditional sense, other than just like
Making sure you know
memorizing,
your stuff. Yeah.
right, memorizing titles.
Well, I think as well, like I feel like our paths through college take us towards more courses to where like we're not doing like, oh, things you need to study for.
Yeah, it's not like memorizing formulas and stuff.
Right, right. But anyways,
Apparently, your educational needs may vary, and in
it's
this,
true. Yeah,
we we discovered that Yui is not good at studying.
she had not been studying throughout most of her education thus far, and it's like, oh, I'll just keep doing that, and then, uh-oh.
Well, and also she's like, "Hey, I want to study guitar chords." Oh, wait, midterms are here.
Yeah. So we begin this episode, and Yui's like, how do I do guitar? And Mio gives her this book. Is like, here, you should take this book, learn all the chords. That'll be a good first step for you. And also, Yui's like, help, I can't read notation. On the way home from school, Nodoka shows up and is like, hey, so how's things going? You remember we got midterms, right? And Yui's like, what? Midterms? Oh. That'll be fine. I
Uh-oh.
don't need to study. It'll be a-okay. So
It's not.
yeah, they end up taking their exams, and then, yeah, things went bad. Yui got like a 2 out of 100.
She said she was the only one in our class that had to do the makeup exam.
Mm-hmm. Everyone else did
That's
really
embarrassing.
well. Yui was shocked that Risu got like a high 80s, and she was like, that is not in line with your character.
That was funny.
And then eventually they tell her that like, hey, or she gets told that she is suspended from club activities until she passes the makeup exam, which puts the rest of the club into disarray because, oh God, we are now under the limit again.
Yep.
We got to make sure that she passes this exam or else we're boned. So throughout the next week, we see Yui's various attempts to try and properly study. And most of it just turns into be like, oh, all right, I'm going to study. Ooh, what's this? Ooh, my guitar. Ooh, what if I just played that? Oh, no, I didn't study. And that
She
just...
got like a book that was telling her like how to focus in 5 minutes, and she couldn't focus on that. But the cover says something like so easy a monkey could do it.
That's also what the guitar like book said as well.
Oh my God.
Japan's blank for dummies
Yeah,
line.
no kidding.
So on the day before the exam, she comes back to the club and is like, Mio, you've got to help me study, please. So she agrees, and the rest of the light music club follow Yui to her house. And they're like, oh, I hope we aren't imposing on you. And they're like, no, my parents are gone. It'll be fine. It's just me and my little sister. And then they get this idea that Ui is like a just carbon copy of Yui.
Yeah, their middle picture is the two of them just rolling around on the carpet with each other. And then they get there and they're like, oh, Ui's like really respectful and kind and like wants to help everybody.
She's the
And then
mature one.
there's you.
So like they're kind of like dunking on Yui while Ui's in the same room, and Ui's like, my sister can do things great. She's really good. They're like, oh, she's so modest.
Ritsu eventually gets like head bonks a lot.
It's true. So like they eventually get underway studying, and Mio is like taking the lead on that and making sure Yui's able to understand things. Ritsu pretty shortly just loses all interest and just starts like goofing around, running around, like reading manga and just cracking up. And then Mio just like bonks her on the head a couple times, kicks her out of the room at one point.
Yep. She gets these huge knots on her head. One time she has two knots, one on top of the other.
Yep. Yui starts to lose like concentration at one point, and then Boogie's like, hey, if you keep doing this, we can eat this cake I brought. And then Yui just goes into overdrive.
Cake is a good motivator.
It's really good. This leads to Ritsu like trying to find some really goofy way to re-enter the room.
Yep.
So like she like first goes in and is like, oh hey, hello, it's me, and then she just runs out like, oh, that wasn't it. And then like she comes to the man like, ho ho ho, hello friends, and then runs out again. And then the third time she's like, oh my God, I need something that's very impactful. So she like kicks the door in and then just does like an action roll across the room.
That was so funny.
And then gets up and Mio's like, what are you doing? Bam.
Another bonk.
At some point Nodoka shows up and brings them some food, and they talk about her and Yui's past together. And that gets them all chit-chatting.
I forgot about that.
It's true. That is a thing that happened.
It is.
Yui falls asleep at one point while studying, and then dreams that they're in like the Arctic, and
Ritsu's like outside stuck, and they're like, "There's no saving her.
and
It's over."
she's just like in an igloo, just like with a fire, just having a good old time. It's like, oh, she's gone. We can't go out and save her. And then you just texted me, a place further than the universe.
I'm pretty sure you hated me at that point.
I mean, I was thinking the exact same thing, so I'm glad we were on the same mental page there. And then like Yui wakes up and just like looks at her, Ritsu's like, squad member Ritsu, I'm so sorry. And everyone's like, what?
It was really good.
So they end their study session, and the next day Yui takes the makeup exam, and a few days later she receives the results.
She comes in and she looks like distraught. Like she looks like the end of the world is upon them.
True.
And they're like, oh God, no.
Like she runs into Miss Yamanaka before that, and you just see her soul escape her body, and Miss Yamanaka's like,
oh, right.
I guess did that mean it went good or bad? Oh God.
It was so funny. I mean, her soul completely escaped and she became black and white for a bit.
So she comes in and they're like, she's all distraught, like you said, and the rest of them are like, so did you pass? And you was just like, Mia, what am I going to do? And they're like, oh no, oh no. And she holds it up like trembling, like, I got 100. And then they take a picture of her and she does a peace sign. It's like, yay.
It's so cute. She goes from like completely distraught to like,
And then they're like, all right, now we can get back to club activities. And
play us a ditty.
play as a ditty. And you were just like, oh, well, let me, which one's the X chord again? And they're like,
There isn't an X chord.
And she has forgotten everything that she had learned because she had to learn everything for the exam. And then she plays that little ditty again.
The X chord.
The X chord. I've never seen that chord in my life. What are you doing?
It was a good episode.
It was.
It gives you a little bit more of their personalities.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the one trivia.
One trivia.
This episode was adapted from chapter 3 and 4 of volume 1 of the manga.
All right.
Good talk.
Good trivia. I think, was it this episode that switched to summer outfits? Or is it the next one?
I guess this one they did because they're in the pictures here. They're all in short sleeves, so I guess this would be the switch to summer outfits.
So there you go. There's my piece of trivia.
Thank you.
They switched to the summer uniform in this episode. So we get an idea of timeline.
Don't have to wear the long coats anymore. It's just put on
or the tights.
Maybe. I don't remember. Is Yui wearing tights?
She does in the winter outfit.
She's not. She is wearing no tights.
No tights.
She just want her legs to be warm. So she's got short sleeves. You got like the cardigan vest and Ritsu, and you just don't wear that.
Yeah. Whoops.
Because she's a rebel.
It's true. She does do like action hero rolls into the room.
And wears her shirt untucked.
Yes. What a rebel.
What a rebel. So next time, we're going to take a trip to the beach.
Beach episode. So early.
And it's not even the only beach episode we will have this season.
Hilarious.
So next time we gotta bite down and get to work on being a band. So it's time for a training camp.
Training camp.
Which is what we'll talk about next time. Episode number 4 called Training Camp. Where we camp and train.
On the beach.
On the beach. But hey, if you'd like more from us, go to seasonalcheckup.com or sec.cool where you can find past episodes of this podcast and other podcasts like Seasonal Checkup and Seasonal Checkup OVA. And you can find columns and reviews on the site as well. If you'd like more from Anladium, go to anladium.com. She's got columns and reviews. And you can follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/animecheckup. Only our podcast where you just get random purrs from Max every now and then.
He's like, hey, Mom, what are you doing?
You talking about K-On? I like that show.
I like that show. It's fun.
So next time, episode number 4, it's training camp.